What other hobbies do I have? So I went over. Hobby that I enjoy now, believe it or not, is my coaching. I call it a hobby because it's not really a job. It's more of a hobby because I could do it or I could not do it. You know, I one way or another, I do it because I enjoy helping the people out that I help. All right, bang out some cardio this morning. You know, a lot of people always ask, what do you like to do besides work out? People that only know me from when social media started would only know a small, minuscule 10 years of my life out of the 40 years that I've been on this earth. So many people probably don't know a lot about me in regards to likes, dislikes, do's, don'ts, hobbies, fears. Let's start from really when I was growing up and you know, where things that I was drawn to that I really liked and enjoyed are not bodybuilding or fitness related, but you'll understand how those things partook playing a role in me as a bodybuilder. So first real fucking wow muscle I ever saw was my dad, right? He was the kind of the guy that I was like, holy shit, I want to look like him when I'm older. He had fucking chest, biceps, shoulders, legs, calves. He was just like the man, right? And I'll never forget when the Ninja Turtle movie came out, the original Ninja Turtle movie. They made the turtles like kind of jacked characters, like in costumes. And then I remember seeing WWE wrestlers like Ultimate Warrior be jacked out of their minds. That was really what drew me to bodybuilding, or more so, you know, muscle and being jacked. So I was infatuated with muscle. What I actually ended up doing was I started drawing at a young age. And I would draw pictures of fucking Ninja Turtles a lot, jacked fucking wrestlers, fighters, basketball players, and the Hulk. And I actually took art lessons for 8 years. I haven't really done a lot of drawing since my grandmother passed away back in 2002. So I really haven't drew a lot since around that time. Last thing I drew was a portrait of her for my grandfather, who also passed away a few years later. But I was like in love with drawing and painting. I have pictures actually in my house that I painted when I was, you know, probably 10, 11, 12, 13. Thing that I love about drawing is I love how you can take reality and put it on a piece of paper without just snapping a photo of it with your camera. I just love the fact that you can take a blank sheet of paper and create something. The thing I was never good at was drawing from my mind. Like I needed a physical element in front of me to draw. Like I couldn't like just close my eyes and think of an image and draw it off the top of my hand. I had to have something specific there to draw. But what drawing did was give me a lot of patience. I think drawing and painting really was the reason why I started doing the journal and why I wrote all my stuff down, because that, you know, that neurotic side of me was always pen to paper, pen to paper, pen to paper, or pencil to paper, or charcoal to paper, or paint to paper. And, you know, it made me patient, it made me regimented, and it not made me rush the process. So that was something I enjoyed doing. I actually pulled out my pad the other day, started fucking around, maybe get back into it a little bit and see what kind of sketches and doodles I come up with. But so aside from that, you know, my dad owned a hunting and fishing company or store for 15 years, and I grew up working there. And before I even started working there, in my parents' garage, my dad, during deer season, has his butchering service. He probably processes 300 to 400 deer a year. And I was a part of that from the time I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I started helping him in the garage butcher. Butchering, okay, gave me a way different understanding of meat cuts, where the meat come from, how it's cut, how it's processed in the store, the fat contents, the chopped meat, how chopped meat is labeled percentage fat, how to package things. I just learned so much about meat from my father, which again parlayed over into bodybuilding. You know, what do? We eat a lot of fucking meat. You know, venison was a staple in a lot of what I did. And to this day, you know, I eat venison, bison. I like to eat more free range animals than, all that farm fed shit. So the being a butcher by trade really played a big role, especially in saving money earlier on in my career. I could go and buy a bigger piece of meat that was not processed or cut or filleted and do it myself and save, $5 to $10 a pound. Because if you bought tenderloin already filleted, you're looking at like sometimes $20.99 a pound. If you buy it the full fillet and you trim the fat off and fillet it yourself, you're looking at sometimes substantially almost in half of the price. So it's things like that I still do to this day. My dad and my brother kind of run the shop over there since I'm a little further away. I'm about an hour 15 from my parents, but it's cool because I still have the opportunity to go up there and film for you guys, so you guys can kind of see what that process is like. I think that'd be really cool. You guys get a little quick tidbit of what I do behind the scenes as far as the butchery goes. You guys get a little more in-depth look at what that is. So that's kind of a hobby. Butchering is more of a trade, not a hobby, because it's not something I do every day. But even then, growing up, I got really heavy into skateboarding and snowboarding. It was skateboarding first, and then snowboarding. Never skied, never did rollerblading, but I actually still have my snowboard and my skateboard to this day. And I can still putzy around on it and fuck around and not be horrible. So it's actually pretty funny being 40 years old and jumping on a skateboard and trying to move the way I used to. Feel a little more rickety than you did it when you were in your 20s. But I've still got snowboarding. I went snowboarding probably 2 years ago. I was still pretty much just as good as I was hitting the slopes as I did when I was in my 20s, 30s. But the only issue is I don't do any like crazy shit. Like I used to go on the half pipes, and I would go to the parks and do tabletops and rainbow rails and all that shit. I don't do that anymore. So those were things that I really enjoyed. I remember making fucking ramps and skate ramps and fucking when it snowboarded, when it snowed, we used to go to like a bunch of hills and make fucking ramps. And I was always an extreme sport guy. It's funny too, because my dad would get so fucking pissed that I would do those extreme sports, because I played football for 15 years, and he would always be like, you're going to end up fucking breaking your leg and not be able to play fucking ball ever again. But I always liked the adrenaline, I was like, I was never into motorcycles or bikes or that kind of shit, like speed. I was into more adrenaline from like hitting a ramp or a gap or a rail, not really so much, being in a car, flying or on a bike. That never really did it for me. I was more like, the extreme sports side of things. So I really enjoyed that kind of stuff. Some of my best memories were with my buddies skating around fucking town. And, we used to always go to this A&P up the road. And, it's probably like an hour fucking trek there on our skateboards where we do that and tear it up on the fucking curbs in the back of the parking lounge. And we just had a good time, man. It was fun times doing that shit. As I got older, I keep trying to put these things in order, but they kind of seem they all happen together, right? I started butchering deer, pretty much playing football and hunting and fishing all at the same time, which is where I was going to go next. I started hunting and fishing at a very young age too. The thing that really I probably started the latest in life was probably drawing, because I started football in third grade. I probably started shooting guns when I was 5, pheasant hunting with my dad. Even to this day, I still go trout fishing, bass fishing. Me and my dad and my buddy Rich, we go up to the Adirondacks every year in June for a week or a couple of days. And we go fishing the stream for brooks, for browns, for rainbows, native trout. We have a big fish fry at the end. We all eat a ton of trout. It's awesome, good times. My dad, owned the hunting and fishing shop for 15 years, which is one that I worked out of. That gave me tools and trades like, learning how to make bow and arrows and bow strings and, put fletchings on arrows and cut arrows and, learn how to sight things in and learn more about archery and hunting. And, he had archery leagues and learn how to shoot a recurve and a compound bow, and all that stuff was awesome. Learned and understood more of the value of hunting and being, self-preserved if need be. So, my dad is somebody that could live off the land if he needed to, or if he wanted to. He's kind of a redneck in many ways. A lot of those qualities he passed on to me and my brother. And a lot of those qualities, I think, aren't really passed on to people anymore. I think being able to provide for yourself, to provide food for your family and gather food is not something that really we think about anymore. I remember during COVID, everybody was freaking out because they were thinking that like people were going to start looting, rioting, there was going to be shortages of this and that. The sad part is that more people learned to live off the land, and more people learned more hobbies rather than just playing video games, and maybe learned how to garden or, hunt and fish. It's things that the survival skills that, I think everybody should learn, because you never know what life could throw you, where you can end up, You hear all these crazy stories happening to people that are fucking, they get stranded on an island or on a ship, or, they get lost in the woods. Like, doesn't happen often, but it happens a lot. And, you definitely don't want to be cold your pants down. That definitely sucks. So, hunting and fishing is something that I was doing at such a young age, and something I grew up on eating, obviously my parents went fucking food shopping, but, during hunting season, if, my dad killed it, my mom didn't buy it type of deal. So, you kind of learn to appreciate the foods that comes from the earth and, comes from fucking the ground. It's something that's really neat. And, going in my house now is something that I do, with the gardening in my backyard. I absolutely love it. Sounds weird. It sounds odd, but nothing beats it. Good homemade tomato sauce and pickles, man. I'll tell you that. What other hobbies do I have? So I went over. Hobby that I enjoy now, believe it or not, is my coaching. I call it a hobby because it's not really a job. It's more of a hobby because I could do it or I could not do it. I could use the money, I couldn't use the money. Like, it doesn't really, one way or another. I do it because I enjoy helping the people out that I help. It's very, very fun. And I didn't think I would enjoy being a coach as much as I do. And the thing that I enjoy most about it, which is crazy, is I enjoy helping the people that are not bodybuilders. Because helping the people that are not bodybuilders, it's the outcome and the results when they lose the weight, and the gratification is completely different than a bodybuilder who's a couple days out from the show and, or just won a show and was completely out of it. Like, these people are, I got anybody from, 17-year-old kid to the soccer mom to the, 65-year-old man trying to get back in shape and, get his sex life together and, look better and feel better. So it's just crazy to see the gratification that these people get, from getting in shape and feeling better about themselves. And that alone makes me very, very happy because, kind of feel like you're changing lives. That's something that will forever, remain. So it's something I really enjoy doing. But, what it showed me too is how easy it, I know how easy it is to help people, but more so how easy it is for people to fall into bad habits and listen to the wrong people and get wrong advice. It's crazy to see some of the fad diets and the things that people follow prior to working with a coach that knows a little about, dieting and losing weight, gaining weight. Not that I'm not referring to just myself. There's a lot of coaches out there that know a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of misinformation out there about diets, about gear, about bodybuilding, about bodybuilders. So for me, my kind of, hobby was bodybuilding too, in a way. So bodybuilding was something I did because I was working out and I didn't have anything to do. Going to the gym was great. Trying to look a certain way was great, but what did I have? Like, what was the edge? I wanted something else. I wanted, I didn't want to power lift because I didn't want to get injured. And, I really started following bodybuilding probably 96, 97 when I was a freshman and sophomore in high school because I got obsessive, just bodybuilding in general. I remember getting the Olympia on fucking pay-per-view and just being obsessed. Couldn't wait for the next MD Flex magazine to come out. That was my obsession, being the bodybuilder and having that prestige of calling myself, one of the best bodybuilders in the world. And I never reached that goal, but, the bodybuilding was an edge, and it was a hobby that kept the competitiveness in me from not having football or college football around anymore alive. Anybody that's a competitor, I think one of the things you need in life, and I think which helps everybody, here's a little piece of advice, is if you're a competitor, never stop competing. Because once there's nothing to compete against there, you lose a part of yourself. So always find something to compete against you. Right, I got my training partner. I compete against him every day in the gym. you know, he's 20 years younger than me, and I fucking try to bury him every day. Why? Because that's just what, you know, that keeps me going. I'm doing cardio every day, trying to get in shape at 40 years old and, you know, still look a decent bodybuilder. You know, that's something that I try to do every day, trying to stay healthy, trying to stay alive. Find the competition within yourself. You know, find things you enjoy doing, because, you know, a lot of people close off a lot of things in life due to bodybuilding and stop doing things they love and then that they enjoy doing because they're afraid of fear, right? You know, I'm not saying go out and do dumb shit, get hurt. What I am saying is, you know, don't be afraid to live your life just because you're getting ready for a bodybuilding show. You know, because bodybuilding is something great, but it's something that's very short-lived and it's not going to be around forever. You know, don't waste some of the best years of your life in a Tupperware of chicken and rice in a gym 24 hours a day. That's a little bit of a background of who I am and where my hobbies came from and kind of things I developed as time went on. And maybe I can answer some of the questions as to, you know, my personality, or maybe the fact that, you know, you guys can see me do certain things and, you know, that other bodybuilders don't do because I'm more agile and active. But if any of that maybe helps you guys a little bit more understand me as a person, that was the goal in explaining a little bit more about my hobbies and, you know, what I enjoyed and what I didn't do growing up. So, till next time, I'm out.